Welcome to So You Think You're Awake. My name is Michael Sheridan. Today is our first show in this new time slot, and we now run for a full hour instead of a half hour. For those of you not familiar with the show, we are actually in our 8th month. This show is me talking about dream interpretation. Hopefully you will find it interesting, and some of you may get the courage to call in to have your dreams analysed. Please do. The number is 425-373-5527. You can also send me your dreams by email to radioshow@dream-analysis.com. That's how most of you do it. You can also send them via Facebook. You can get the details for doing that on my website, dream-analysis.com. You'll also find all the archives to previous shows there. Well, what makes me qualified to interpret dreams? The answer is that anyone can do it if they have the interest. I've been teaching dream interpretation classes for 25 years now, and throughout that time, I've been a guest over 1,000 times on radio and TV analysing callers' dreams. I've also written a book on the subject. It's more of a comprehensive tutorial on how to interpret your dreams, but it does have an extensive dictionary. To celebrate the relaunch of the show and my birthday, my book is free on Amazon.com today and tomorrow. That's July 2nd and 3rd. That's also the Kindle version, but you don't need a Kindle to read it. Go get it now for free. I've other books in the pipeline, but I continue to write about dreams on my website, blog, and on Facebook. dream-analysis.com for more, including the link to get the book. Enough about me. So You Think You're Awake. I picked this title because we're asleep while we dream, but rarely are we more closely in touch with the meaning of life. Our dreams are a dialogue between our soul and our higher self. They're dispatched to give guidance and healing, asking us to make changes that are necessary to achieve our life purpose, or indeed the change itself may be part of our life purpose. In the dream state, we fully understand the message, but due to conditioning, we frequently reject it. When we awaken, we've moved so far from that connection that we usually don't even know what the dream means and forget we were even being nudged to stay on our path. We don't even know there's a path. And this is the state we call awake. I picked this title because through proper analysis of our dreams, we can determine our life purpose and take steps to achieve it. Why would you want to do that? Do you like how I ask my own questions, including this one? It helps to be schizophrenic. So long as I don't ask myself a question I don't know the answer to. Well, I'm not going to answer that now. Instead, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Susan Pullen. Susan will co-host regularly on the show. Her bright voice and laughter will prevent you from falling asleep to my voice and possibly banging your head. While we ease into our new format, I've asked Susan to play devil's advocate today and ask questions of my interpretations and chime in with anything else that she feels like chiming in with. Susan, you've been on before, so welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much, Michael.
Okay, you originally were afraid to come on air, and now you've agreed to be a regular co-host. Do you like that curveball?
Yeah. I'm happy to be back.
Okay, so do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself, just briefly? You have a website, susanpullen.com. People can get all sorts of information about you there. But you, I'm saying it for you now, you also work with dreams and have worked with dreams for many years. And you have a regular group that meets in Seattle doing that with several threads to it.
Yes.
So that I like that because the dreams are obviously a shared passion and a shared interest. And we met each other because I attended your dream classes. So
yes.
That's an unusual meeting, but it's how I meet everybody. It's how I met Sandy as well. I only get out to dream groups. But what else do you do? You do other things like healing and so on, and we'll get into that in the show as well. It's not just about dreams, but maybe a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a life coach, and I do energy healing and shamanic work. And I use dreams actually quite a bit in the work I do with people as a way of kind of adding their inner guidance to our work together. So sometimes someone will come to me with a few things they want to work on. And looking at their dreams helps me to prioritize our work. It also helps me to see what's at the root of the issue. And then their dreams, once we get started working together, their dreams help give me feedback about how we're doing. And
so it's great. You look at their dreams and you go, you know that thing you said about your partner? You're lying. Just do that?
No. Well, maybe sometimes, but that's not what I'm looking for.
It's interesting to say
Yeah.
that. We lie to ourselves and we're not even aware.
Yes.
And it's really great. Dreams will say, look, this is the real issue. You think it's this other thing, but it's actually something much more fundamental and earlier than what you've been looking at.
Yes, it really started much earlier than that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I threw your flow there. Apologies for that. So you you use your dreams with the clients, and that's really good. I think regardless of whatever else I ever do, dreams are always involved. Like I help people cut the ties and get over blocks, but that's a big thing you do. You help people get unstuck when they're trying to do something, or maybe they've tried to do it before already. You help them get past the obstacle.
Yes. And dreams are one way that helps me know what the obstacle truly is. And I work with people in working with their own dreams also. We can make progress on a lot of levels at once working in that realm. So it's very exciting work.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the basics of dreams. You're going to fire questions at me. That's what we decided to do today. We'll have an educational piece each week, and that will be sort of in the middle of the show. But this week it's got to be a little bit different because we're kind of treating it like a first show again. So you're going to fire questions at me, but I wanted to do a few dreams in advance so that it kind of makes sense. People will know what the show's about then before we, unless we want to save it all to the end, which I don't think is a good idea.
That sounds good.
We're going to have a feature dream every week, and that's one that just stands out, one I like or we like, and I'll spend a little bit more time on that, and that'll be available on YouTube as well in video format. And we've got that one ready today, but I've got another few little dreams. But let's start. We have symbols. We were going to do a section on symbols, so let's start with the symbols because they're going to feed into the dreams that we've got. And the symbols are, of course, what everybody wants to look up when they see a dream. And when I was writing my book first, I didn't even want to include a dictionary in it. And I realized everybody wants a dictionary. But the problem there, of course, is you can have a personal association with a symbol, so it can mean something for you, and then what you read in a book is absolutely useless for you. So you're nodding.
I'm nodding, yes. Yeah.
You found that yourself, actually. Your own meanings, your own dreams changed and started using different symbols after I kept saying, no, Susan, this is the way it works.
Yeah, so I took your class twice. I read your book, and plus being in the dream groups with you, I feel like my dreams kind of took on your vocabulary as a common language that they knew I could understand more clearly.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, and I'm glad you said it that way. If you read a lot of books about dream interpretation, and there are a lot of books, and some of them are no good, you can change how you dream. The symbols are used. They will start matching the books that you read. But if you've never read any book, they will match the symbols that I've got here. And of course, if you've read my book, they'll match that. Because they do want you to get the message. So there's many ways to doing it. There's many ways to skin a cat. My God, where's that expression come from? So it's something we will probably cover on one of the shows, books that are good, because there are a lot of good books out there too. So the symbols we're going to cover today, school, that's a really common symbol. And what it means in a dream, you think about the analogy to life. We go to school to learn lessons, and then we're allowed to do exams at the end of our school period. And university would be the same thing. We do exams at the end of that period, and we're only allowed to do the exams when we've already studied all the material. We've got to the point where we're ready, do the exam, and then finish with that lesson and move on to new lessons or move on to a completely different part or different phase of life. So it means that in dreams. It's actually a very good dream. Commonly, though, people tend to be doing an exam and they haven't studied for it, and they really feel that they needed more time to study, or it's a different subject than what they were prepared for. And that's so common. And so what it means is you are ready to move on into a different phase of your life. You may not actually change what you're doing, but how you are at your core is going to change. So it's something you would look back in time and say, yeah, this is when I changed, around the time of that dream. So it's always good, but it says, despite what you think, you are ready to make that change. So it's a good symbol.
And Michael, what if someone is actually in school at the time? Does that potentially change the meaning of
it does, because it's your everyday thing. So what dreams do is they use events of the day to hold the symbols together. They use the events of the day as a backdrop. So that's like the storyboard. But then there's symbols that are on there that are going to be different. So if you're in school, then you sort of take that out of the equation and you say, okay, what is happening in your dream that's different from your normal day in school? Same with if you're in the office or if you play music and you find yourself playing music in a dream. So people will often say, oh, I play music, so I was playing the clarinet. It didn't mean anything. And I say, well, do you play the clarinet in reality? And they say, no. I go, okay, so well, it does mean something. So even though you normally do that, it's a different instrument, so it's still going to be the same to you then as it normally would for people who don't play music. But yeah, so you tend to take out whatever's common. But it's also interesting to look at what's going on in your life right now, because the dream is very usually going to be a comment on what's going on now. But we don't have to know that. When we've got a good dream, it will tell us the subject matter as well. And of course, they're the best. So another symbol we have today is a bleacher. And if you think about what bleachers are about, it's where you sit on the sidelines watching other people participate in a game. And it'll make more sense, of course, when you see these symbols in a dream. So you're going to see them shortly. So that's what bleachers would be about. Mascot comes from a similar dream, the same dream, in fact, our feature dream. And a mascot is somebody, again, who is part of the team, you could say, but also stands on the sidelines and cheers the team on. So you're a little bit closer to playing the game, but you're still not playing the game. And the interesting thing about a mascot is they're usually in disguise. So this person isn't revealing their true selves. And again, it makes more sense when you see it in a dream. But one of the beauties of dreams is you have to link all the symbols together. So if you have one dream and you look up 10 symbols, they all have to make sense and correlate to each other, correlate to the subject matter at least. And again, this is something that hopefully you're going to ask me about and we'll get to talk about.
And so if the symbols don't correlate, then you know you don't have it quite right yet.
You've got something wrong, absolutely. And it could be that the dreamer has a particular association with a symbol that threw you a curveball. And there's ways to get around that, ways to figure that out. Is that the case or not? Obviously, if the dreamer's in front of you, you can say, what does that mean to you? And they'll say, oh, well, I had the best time of my life when I was there. And we know it's going to be along those lines. And another symbol that I was asked to cover is an oven, and we have a dream with that. Hopefully we'll get to it. But ovens can mean two things. It can be about your reproductive system, because we have the expression, somebody has a bun in the oven. And even cooking a cake or cooking a mixture, even on a stove, can be about basically cooking a child, putting all the ingredients together to creating a child and bringing them into the world. But an oven can also be about your stomach. And why? Because we put food in the oven, we take food out of the oven, especially if you find in the dream there's something going wrong, the mixture isn't quite right and it's cooking over and spilling and causing a mess in the oven, then it's going to be about the stomach. Microwave oven is one that's almost always going to be about having a child, because we have the word micro, which means small. What are the type of ovens? So usually you find these, though, if it's about having a child, they're in a different location. So you might have a microwave oven in a bedroom. And a bedroom is also about reproduction, or can be. So anyway, they're just some of the symbols. If you have symbols that you want to ask about and you don't want to send a dream in, we are now adding that because we have more time on the show. So please send them in, radioshow@dream-analysis.com. Also, to remind you, the number to call in if you have a dream now is 425-373-5527. Okay, so the feature dream today is from Jennifer. And she says, and I've picked up the wrong dream, it's called Class is In. She says, I'm in a classroom, a more advanced one like university, so we know what a classroom and university are about now, as opposed to high school. And there's a teacher doing highly advanced complex math equations on the blackboard. He's obviously brilliant and a genius. And I seem to think we've divided into teams, but my team is outside the classroom, and I'm worried because it's our team's turn and I don't understand the math at all. It's too advanced for me. Plus, I'm in a mascot's uniform, which is ridiculous and restrictive to both my dexterity and my line of sight, so I'm trying to find someone from my team to take my turn. I asked the math teacher, who I seem to think is on my team, and he stands there with his arm around who I am guessing is his wife, and he nods his head yes. So that's an interesting one, putting putting his arms around his wife. Another little bit of the dream and we're done. Next, I'm in the bleachers at the top of the stairs, outdoors, so no ceiling, during some event that I'm not paying attention to. And I'm still in this damn mascot uniform. I don't know what the costume is, as I can't see myself. And I see this black slithering thing coming up the steps about the size of my thumb. And it's headed for me, and because my sight is restricted from the mascot uniform, I can't tell if it's going to crawl up me or not. Okay, so we have covered the classroom. Well, I know she's not doing an exam or anything like that, which is a common thing in dreams. But even if you have a dream in a university, it's about learning about yourself with a view to improving yourself. And quite often dreams in universities are about spiritual abilities. So that's something we can get into later on as well. But we also have the term high school. So high in a dream here like this is also going to be about your higher self, which again is typically going to be about spiritual abilities that you have. But we have a teacher there, so we know then that the dreamer is a spiritual teacher. Now, spiritual teaching is different from regular teaching. It's somebody who has an open and compassionate heart and helps other people through empowering them. They don't hold back. It works through female energy, so that it involves a lot of listening and tailoring what they're going to do for the particular person they're talking to. And so what have we got then? So we know it's about their spiritual leadership ability. I seem to think we're divided into teams. So this is about the dreamer being divided on that, as you said earlier, Susan. But my team is outside the classroom, and I'm worried because it's our team's turn, and I don't understand the math. And this is common in a dream. It's too advanced for me, but of course it's not. So you're a leader. You came with this ability, and you'll have no problem doing it. Plus, I'm in a mascot's uniform, which is ridiculous. And we know the mascot is somebody who doesn't really play in the game. It's affecting your dexterity and your line of sight. Okay, so really the dream is saying, get out of that. Drop that attitude, the attitude of where you're on the sideline and you're happy to watch people play.
Yeah, it seems like not just watch people play, but like cheer for them, be a cheerleader for other people.
Yes, very good. And he has his arm around his wife. I said teaching, I don't know if I said it, but teaching is a female energy trait. So the teacher putting his arm around his wife says, look, this is who you need to get close to. You need to get close to your female side because that's how this works best. And we have then next time in the bleachers at the top of the stairs. Oh yeah, she also wants to get somebody else to play. So we have the theme. She wants somebody else to do this math thing for her because she doesn't feel like she's ready for it. So we have her, that's the theme where she wants somebody else to do it. She doesn't want to do it. We have the mascot who is somebody who stands on the sideline and cheers somebody else on. And then we have the bleachers coming up. So we have three symbols in the stream, which is why I liked it, that all seem kind of different, but yet say the exact same thing. They're all saying you need to participate more in the game of life yourself. Now, this dreamer is actually cutting the ties at the moment, cutting the ties with her mom. So that's going to help her enormously to bring in the female energy and bring in this teaching ability that she has. And being outside is good in the dream because she says there's no ceiling, for instance, so no limitation there. But she's still in the mascot uniform and she can't see this black thing slithering coming up the steps. So that's a fear. This represents a fear. So this would be one of the things she needs to overcome. Fears of if I do participate or even if I hold myself back, that I don't hold myself back far enough and things still get to me. Or my fears still manifest and I need to do something. So any questions on that?
Yeah, Michael, you mentioned that spiritual teaching works with female energy, feminine energy. And is that related to the teacher putting his arm around his wife in this dream?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole point of that. For the dreamer to get in touch with her female side. It doesn't matter that you're a woman in the dream. We all have male and female energy, and this works through that. So clearing the blockages, cutting the ties with your mom is all you need to do on this. There's no. I always say, okay, here's the next thing you need to do. Because you're cutting the ties with your mom, you don't need to do anything extra. You're already doing it. So we'll take a quick break and come back in a moment.
Do you suffer from never wanting to be ill? Apply Michael Sheridan's Dream Tonic nightly. It's sure to prevent all manner of diseases.
Let's get serious. All around, you see adverts telling you how to spot the signs of debilitating illness, and that's great. But that's also depressing. The good news is, your dreams last night already told you the specific condition you are susceptible to. That includes stroke, heart attack, cancers, and more. Isn't that great?
Yeah, I don't expect you're smiling. But when I tell you that your dreams also tell you why and what you need to do to prevent the condition from ever occurring, that should put a smile on your face. I don't expect to convince you in a 30-second ad, but I will if you attend my 2-day intensive dream course. Don't be a statistic. Stay in control of your health. Michael Sheridan's Dream Workshop Seattle, September 26th and 27th. Register at dream-analysis.com. St. John, New Brunswick, October 3rd and 4th.
Are you wondering about your path in life? Do you have the sense there's something you're here on earth to do, but you're not sure what that could be? Maybe you've had a major change in your life recently, and you're asking yourself, what's next for me? I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts, and I believe that each of us comes to this lifetime for a reason. Not only do we come with a specific aim for our life, we also bring with us special gifts that help us to make our unique contribution. Now is the time for you to discover your gifts and your life purpose. Now is the time for you to realize your true radiance. Find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Tell your friends the place to be is Alternative Talk 1150 AM.
Welcome back. And for this segment, Susan's going to quiz me. And if you ask a really hard question, I'm going to ask you one.
That's fair. So, Michael, I know this is the first time probably for some of our listeners today. And I think probably we have some listeners who are wondering, what are dreams and where do they come from?
I suppose, where do they come from? A lot of people think that they're just nonsense rambling that goes on in your mind. And you'll have a lot of people even say that with authority. Of course, they've done no research. But dreams come from your higher self. And they comment on the events of the day and give advice and guidance on changes you need to make in your life. And sometimes the advice and what they're asking you to do is something that's really easy to do, like let go of something that you think you are responsible for. But really, that's the crux of it. They come from your higher self. And it's where they're directed, I suppose, is the next thing that maybe we'll get into another time, or maybe even this time. How come we don't understand them if they're directed to us? And like I said before, we do understand them in the dream state. So how do we understand them in the dream state, but not when we wake up?
Yes, I do want to get back to that. And right now, there's something else that you just said that I wanted to follow up on, which was about the kinds of things that dreams comment on. What kind of subject matters do you see come up in dreams?
Well, pretty much everything. I find it interesting. For Americans, career comes up a lot more than it does for other people, and I'm not kind of sure why that is. I think maybe with there not being as strong a social net here for you to fall into, that could be a reason. But so career can come up. People can be told, get out of the career you're in. It's a dead end. It's no good for you. You need to be doing something else. Dreams don't always say, it'll be much easier if you do this, if you make changes. But they will say this is the change you need to make, and it's going to be better for you. It's always going to be a lot better for you. So we have career. Relationships is a big one. And a lot of people are interested in that. A lot of people have the experience of, I've even had somebody say that she could go into a nightclub and pick out the 4 criminals that are in there because she just, for some reason, is always attracted to the wrong guy. And she doesn't know how, but she's able to pick them out and then find out later on that it's really, really a bad thing for her to be with these people. Now, we don't always have that extreme, but we do find that we go from relationship to relationship, even with years in between, and pick the same person. And the reason we do it is we pick, psychologists and counselors will tell you many times that we pick a person with the same traits of the parent we have most issues with. So unless we've dealt with our childhood issues, we're going to pick somebody else who can push the same buttons that our parents installed. And that's part of what life is about, that pushing these buttons causes us to eventually say, hang on, I need to do something about this. This is annoying me now. It's been 1,001 times. And I said I was going to not let it get to 1,002. And so relationships is one. Then we have our spiritual abilities. That's my favorite aspect of dream interpretation. And it's my favorite because I always thought that was ridiculous, the whole idea even of analyzing dreams, or somebody with an ability to heal or special abilities, talk to the dead, nonsense. And so I spent the first half of my life, I would have ridiculed anybody even who claimed to have those abilities. And I wouldn't just laugh at them from a distance. I would have followed them and pointed and laughed, So this is karma for me. But so I have a tremendous tolerance then for people who don't accept that's even a part of life. But we use our spiritual abilities to help repay debts we have to others. Like, we don't just have one lifetime. And we use our spiritual abilities to repay debts. And it's just a huge, huge thing. And they're very precious because they're how we how we repay our debts. And so they show up in dreams as the most precious aspect of our nature. So I really like that. And I really like finding for people what their abilities are. And then, of course, a huge thing is, which is hugely overlooked, is health. Health, whether it's diseases. I mean, I had an ad there in the break about, it seems very depressing, but people talk about a sudden heart attack. There's no such thing. Your dreams will warn you years in advance of what you're doing wrong that can cause you to be one of the people that has a heart attack. And it tells you what you're doing wrong, what you need to do to prevent it, and what else is good is going to come into your life by working on those issues. But it doesn't have to just be that. Cancers are another thing. But these are things people are very afraid to do. And we're never going to do a cancer dream on the radio, for instance, because it's too sensitive a subject. And people really get caught up in that. So if we ever do one, it'll be because we've talked to the person beforehand and coached them and they've done something about it. Because dreams will say, look, you have the potential. It's like smoking, Anybody could tell a smoker it's a bad idea. You could get a problem from that. And dreams will say to you, look, what you're doing is the recipe for a problem. It doesn't say you're going to have a problem, but certain words like cancer will make people go, oh my gosh, I have it. There's nothing I can do. And they panic. But health is a huge thing in dreams. Huge, huge, huge. And when you just look at the statistics, 1/3 of people in America die from stroke or heart-related illness. That's a huge statistic. So it's going to be a big thing in dreams, saying, look, here's something you need to do, because you don't need to have that problem. Did I cover everything? There's lots more. But.
Yeah, and Michael, one thing that I've found, and I want you to chime in on this too, is that dreams only show us the things that we can do something about. Like, they bring things to our attention because it's something we can take action on now.
Absolutely. That's a really important point. So when you see something in a dream, especially a health issue, you're getting it because the dream is saying there's something you can do. And exactly, there's no point in saying, here's a problem you have and there's nothing can be done about it. That you just don't have that type of dream. So the way dreams work is they show you a problem, or they show you you in a positive way. So the negative will say this is the way things are, and this is what you are, the potential, and this, you need to do something because of that. And the positive says this is the way you need to be. They both will say the same thing. So you analyze them both the same way. But you would never have a dream saying you don't have an issue. But sometimes people have a fear of cancer and they will have the symbols, but yet they won't. There's no potential for them ever developing the condition. So it's good to look at the dreams and say, okay, it's just in my head. It's just something that, because maybe I had a friend who died of cancer, it's obviously going to be in my mind. And you can have dreams that will reassure you it's not a problem for you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so you mentioned that that dreams can offer us guidance. They can be an expression of our reaction to something that's going on for us. Is there anything else generally that dreams will do for us?
Yeah, it's always going to be one of three things. It's going to be healing, guidance, or simply an expression of your reaction to the subject matter. But nothing is as simple as that. So it's going to mix a few things. I mean, I try pick dreams on the show that have one subject matter, but you can have a dream that has three subject matters. And they're more fun to unravel. But especially for the person, if you like, what we're doing on the radio is really just a soundbite compared to the deep analysis you would get for the same dreams, doing them one-to-one. And I suppose that's important to say. There's always a lot more in a dream than what we're going to cover on the show.
Yes.
Because we have to keep this interesting, stop people changing the dial. So they're always going to be about trying to heal you or trying to guide you, or just saying, when it comes to this particular subject matter, this is how you are.
Yeah.
And you have a dream, actually. We could talk about guidance. And we've done your dreams on the show before, but you had a dream where it said you need to reduce the amount of things you're doing. And then you had a dream later on that after I analysed one dream, you had another dream where a friend was trying to move the contents of their house to a smaller house, I think.
Yeah, we had talked about the dream, and you had interpreted the dream for me, saying that it was about paring down what I offered. And I went to bed thinking, what on earth could that even mean?
Yeah.
And
less is more.
right. And I had this dream that a friend of mine had put everything on a moving truck, actually had carefully selected what went on the moving truck, but the moving truck got stuck. And in the dream I said, so, did you get a second truck of the same size? And the person in the dream said, you would like that, wouldn't you? But no, they got a smaller truck and pared down even more. And then the small, light truck was able to move very fast. So, yeah.
And it's interesting then, the truck, of course, is a career symbol in a dream because, excuse me, that's nearly the only reason we have a truck or ever see one on the road. It's been used for some career. So it's saying that in your career, you're to offer less than all the things you studied. And that makes sense. I mean, I've studied a lot of subjects before I ever found and fell into dreams and realized this was my passion. I studied all sorts of things. And it's been useful to have done that because I can relate to them in dreams. And when I see somebody has an ability, I can go, oh, yeah, I've done the lessons for that and even did it for a little while. So it's not that you're going to disregard your training in other fields, but they're not your focus. And you'll just use them to back up other things. But I mean, so there you go. That's a good thing to be told.
Yes.
Instead of being told, I don't know why you're trying to do anything because you haven't learned anything yet. You're not, you don't have enough of a breadth of knowledge. Whereas you're being told, look, your brain's too big. Put it down.
Yeah. I have an example actually also of a healing dream that comes to mind for me.
Okay.
Where I went to bed with a headache, and in the dream there was a little ninja who shot me with an acupuncture needle right in the temple. And when I woke up, I didn't have the dream anymore.
Okay, so you're getting healed in the dream. You got acupuncture in the dream. That just reminded me of a dream that got me into a joke that got me into trouble at work.
Are you sure you want to say it on here?
It's Billy Connolly. He's a little bit on the saucy side, but he said if women are so good at multitasking, how come they can't have a headache and sex at the same time? It's funny. Anyway.
So, Michael, you were just talking about how you really studied a lot of different areas as well before you really sunk your teeth into dreams.
Yes, yeah, and I was told at the time, what got me into all of this was I suddenly started seeing spirits, and that wasn't something that was part of my world. I didn't believe in life after death or anything like that at the time, and so it didn't fit. So I was either gone mad, which was a possibility, or there was actually more to life than I had previously believed. And it turned out I was doing karate, a traditional style karate with low horse stances and stuff for many years. And I was doing meditation, but not for anything esoterical. And unknown to me, it opened me up to the fact that there was more to life. And I was looking right at it. So it was very hard then for me to say, okay, there's nothing here, because I could see them. And I could see them so clearly. It was crazy. There was spirits around everybody all the time. And so what I had to do was I decided to go get a psychic reading, and these, of course, are the people that I used to mock. So I was a bit of a turncoat, and I went to somebody, and I didn't tell anybody I was going to them, of course. Didn't tell anybody, didn't share with anybody that I was having this problem, what I perceived as a problem. And it started me on a path. He told me, you're not very good at a 3-point turn. They're saying you're going to have to do like a 7-point turn or maybe a 9-point turn on the road. Because you don't go back on yourself too much. And that's true. I'm pretty stubborn. So I ended up coming to realize that it was a positive thing in my life. And I started studying things in the spiritual field. And I studied loads of things that were going to have nothing to do with what I was going to work at. But eventually I came across dreams. But as soon as I hit dreams, it was like, oh, this is for me. And it just made sense. It made total sense. And it made even more sense because I had studied other things and it fit into them.
How did you know that this was the thing for you?
Because I was able to interpret dreams in the first class. It was just like, this is so easy. And I didn't realize everybody wasn't like that. It was just like, I saw a dream, I interpreted my own, submitted them for analysis, and got assistance with that. And it was great to see how I was doing. And then when I'd run out of my own dreams, I'd ask other people around me, give me your dreams. And it was very early on, I submitted a dream where I had written the analysis for somebody else on the back. And the instructor said, who did this? And I was thinking, oh no, he's going to rip it to pieces. And he said, you should be teaching this yourself. And I had dreams myself where I was reading his book, the instructor's book, and it hadn't come out yet. And now that I can do dreams, I realize that all said, look, you've got this ability in your hands.
Yes.
Because I was reading this book, holding it in my hands. And so it just made sense, and it was great. And really a huge thing for me was, oh my God, I have all the answers to the questions I've been asking, and I've got the answers myself. The fact that they're encrypted didn't help, but I did have the answers. And you said before that was a huge aha thing for you to realize that your higher self was listening into everything that was going on and commenting all the time
Yes.
about things in your life that were important.
Yeah, things that I would be thinking about that day. I would get a response in my dreams that night, and that really woke me up to the relationship with my dreams, with my dream source, with my higher self, and that it's paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, are you paying attention? That's the next one.
Yeah.
But they do get easier. If you miss a particular dream and you don't know what it's about, and miss the interpretation, then you're going to have many more dreams saying the exact same thing. So it's fine. Now, we wanted to cover a dream in detail to say, okay, look, here's the simplicity of how you work with dreams. So we have a dream here from Jennifer, and I'll read it out first. She calls it The Forgotten Baby. So I'll read it out, and then I'll go through each sentence and comment on that, and feel free to chip in, of course. I was given my next-door neighbour's new baby to take care of, along with formula and diapers. I got busy doing things and forgot about him. When I suddenly remembered him, I couldn't find him. I began to frantically look for him. I wondered, how would I tell them that I lost their baby? My two sisters showed up, and I told them what a predicament I was in. While I was telling them about the lost baby, I saw something move in the clothing on the changing table. The baby was buried under the clothes. He wanted you to find him, my sister exclaimed. I wondered why he had been so silent and not screaming from hunger. I was concerned that he had suffocated and needed oxygen. The longer I looked at him, the healthier he looked. I immediately began to look for something to feed him and a diaper. I was so relieved he was okay. So hopefully from what we said before in some of the questions, this will make sense. We come here for a purpose. Dreams are going to show us this purpose. They're going to show us our blocks, and they're going to tell us what we need to do to remove the blocks. So the first thing in the dream is having this newborn baby that belongs to the neighbour. So babies are a responsibility. Anybody who's ever had one before, ever had a baby will know, or has a baby will know, they take 24/7 attention. I remember on the birth of our first child, naively saying to friends, we're just going to wait till the baby's born and things go back to normal. There's no normal after a baby. That's the new normal. Anyway, so they represent that responsibility that you've got to do something. Then she says, I got busy doing things and forgot about him. And of course, this is life getting in the way. Life happens, and we forget what our life purpose is. We kind of do and we kind of don't. We're meant to go through experiences, and in the experiences, we build up issues that we already have on the spirit plane, but now we're going to have a way to look at these. So when we come back. So what have we got? When suddenly I remembered him. Okay, so this is trying to get back on track, remembering why you're here. Then she says, my two sisters showed up, and I told them what a predicament I was in. This is about the dreamer connecting with her intuition. And her intuition is our female side, I said before, works through our female side. So it can be represented in dreams by women. And she says, they showed up and I told them what predicament I was in. While I was telling them about the lost baby, I saw something moving in the clothing on the changing table. So the baby was buried under the clothes. So this says, or the changing table says the intention of this is to affect change in the dreamer. And the layers of clothes represent attitudes or roles in a dream. So we wear clothes to suit whatever we're going to work at or whatever attitude we're going to bring to things. So they represent that. But because the dreamer has to remove all these layers of clothes, it means that they have to strip away attitudes in order to get back to the core of what they need to work on. They say he wanted you to find him. That's fine. That is what your life purpose is. I wondered why he hadn't been so silent and not screaming from hunger. So it's not him that's silent and not screaming. It's you that are silent and not screaming. So this is something that you need to do. You said you're afraid he wasn't fed, but it's you that needs to be fed, or you need to nourish yourself with regard to what your life is about. The next one is, I'm concerned that he'd suffocated and needed oxygen, and that's exactly the same. And the longer I looked at him, the healthier he looked. That's lovely. This is good for you. This is exactly what you're meant to do. You're here to. You say then that you went and got some food to feed him and a diaper. So you're here to nourish yourself and to eliminate some things that are going to help you nourish yourself. So does that explain things, or does that completely muddy the water?
Yeah, and it sounds like the longer she looks at it or engages with it, the healthier she's going to be, essentially.
Okay, we have a caller on the line. Put on the headphones there, and we'll talk to. Not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Gaurav.
It's Gaurav. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can we help you with?
Well, I was listening to your commentary about dreams, and just had a few questions. I'm not calling in for a dream analysis, at least not yet, but I had a few questions. And when I was listening to you, one of the things that I thought was confusing to me is, what's the source of a dream? I mean, where is it coming from? Is it our subconscious brain? Is it our higher self, or some other source?
It's our higher self. That's where they come from. But then our subconscious interacts in the dream at the speed of thought, which is instantaneous. So a dream will start out pleasant. They nearly always will intend to start out pleasant. But if you have a dream where a character changes, that's your subconscious getting in the way and changing the character so that you run away and don't take the message. But yeah, they definitely start out from our higher self, but they're directed at our soul self. They're not directed really at our conscious, what we call our conscious selves. So the part of us they're directed at fully understands what they're about and interacts in the dream either willingly or not willingly and says, yeah, I'll take the message. So what is our higher self? Susan asked me in the background. Our higher self is the part of us that has never lost awareness. So our purpose in coming here is to regain a former awareness that we already had and basically unearth wonderful things about ourselves so that we regain our former power. So that's hopefully answers your first question. It might still be a little bit unclear, but it'll come up again and again in the dreams we do. So you had another question?
Yes, a couple of more. If our higher self is giving us a message, is sending us a message about how to solve problems in our lives, or for a range of activities or a range of life situations, why don't we remember the dreams when we wake up?
Yeah, it's a good question. Or why don't they come in plain English?
Yeah,
and the reason is we dream in the womb. We dream before we have any language developed. So dreams are our first language, and that's why we get dreams. But when you learn and study dreams, the language is very poetic. It's very inclusive. You can say a lot more with symbols and how they interact than you can with just straightforward English. So, but the remembering them is different. There's a different reason for that. If you start looking at your dreams with seriousness, you will start to remember them. Even if you just give yourself, a few minutes in the morning to say, okay, what dreams did I have? Even if you can't remember them, do that repeatedly and you will start to remember them, and you'll start getting amazing clarity in your dreams, including colours and everything like that, and dialogue. So we do remember them if we apply them to ourselves. But it's sort of like the part of us that we call us, the real me, is the part that's on autopilot, and the dreams are we're the avatar, and the dreams are directed at the person in control. And a lot of what we're doing is 90% of what we do is reacting the same way we did to the first time a particular situation happened to us in our lives. And dreams are trying to say, look, change, don't be that way, don't let your subconscious be the one that's really in control of what you're doing. But it works over time, because dreams are relentless, and they'll keep coming back with the same message and saying, please work on this. So we can probably take one more if you're quick.
Yeah. This brings me to a question. Why then sometimes you remember specific dreams? And this happens with me. I know a dream I had maybe 3 weeks back. I remember it clearly, crystal clear, everything that happened there. But but there are other dreams that you don't remember at all. So what's happening there?
Yeah, we usually, there's several reasons for that too. One is the importance of the message. If it really stands out, like nightmares are interpreted the same way as a regular dream. They're not necessarily anything that's negative to discover, but you're going to remember them because they're a nightmare. So that's one way we can be pretty much guaranteed we're going to remember a dream. But if the message is really important and hits home, then we're going to remember, because it's going to niggle at us. We're going to go, I don't know what it is, but I'm holding on to this dream. And I've had people come to me years later and say, here's this dream. Any ideas what it means? And it's still important all that time later. So they're usually a life purpose dream that says, here's why you're here and here's what you need to work on. And the reason we don't remember other ones is, they could be more mundane. They could be about something that just happened in the last day or two, or something you ate that day that you're not necessarily going to eat again or that frequently. So they're not as important. But the important ones do stand out. It's like they're sent to us and then they're lit on fire so that we have no way of not knowing we had a dream in our hands. We're going to have to leave it there, but please do send your dream in and we will definitely have a go at it. And we're going to take another quick break and be back in a moment.
Are you feeling stuck? Are you trapped in the same old patterns of negativity, fear, or self-doubt? I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts, and I can help you to finally change those old patterns so you can move ahead at last. You may have already tried to change these patterns yourself, maybe with therapy, meditation, or sheer willpower. Certainly these can have benefits sometimes, but they don't always get to the root of what's holding you back. Now is the time for you to break free of the things that keep you stuck, so you can realize your true radiance. Find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Okay, listen up. This is important. Do you know your life purpose? Are you psychic? Do your dreams predict your future? Are you one of the X-Men? Your dreams give the answer to 3 of these questions. Find out which 3 by attending Michael Sheridan's Dream Workshop in Seattle on September 26th and 27th. Register at dream-analysis.com. St. John, New Brunswick, October 3rd and 4th.
Don't touch that dial. You might miss something life-changing. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Welcome back. You're listening to So You Think You're Awake with Michael Sheridan and Susan Pullen. So we're just going to dive into some dreams now, and too many to cover, the usual thing. So this one is from Jennifer. I use the same name many times. That's because I'm not very imaginative, so it's not the same person. She says, it's called The Bridge. I came upon the university bridge where there were many students sitting on the bridge doing homework. There was a discussion occurring about them doing their homework on the bridge and how they needed to move off the bridge. So this bridges are to do with counselling. They indicate the ability to span a gap, east meets west type of a thing. And so this dream, because we have the university, remember, that says it's going to be about one of your spiritual abilities, more likely than not. So it says you have an ability to help people through counselling, and you can work with groups. You're also finished with counselling yourself, which is what moving the student away from the bridge, students off the bridge is. And but you can still be a student of life through other ways, not through counselling. But it's a good dream. And we have another one from Jane. She says, I'm at work. I was responsible for the completion of a complex report, assisted by a few others. The project was almost completed when the manager of another program questioned the value of the report and influenced my manager to scrap the report before it was done. I disagreed with the other manager's opinion, but had little success in changing my manager's mind. Out of frustration, I raised my voice to the other manager, saying, "Don't play games with me. I can see through you like an X-ray." And so this is interesting. The theme is the obvious one. Your work is not being valued. Now, it could either be you not valuing your work, where you go, what I'm doing isn't that important, or it could be that you're actually really in a work situation where you're not being valued. And the dream is saying to use your special vision, because you have this X-ray vision, you and Superman. So you've got this special ability, and use it to see through people just like you claim in the dream. Now, it's going to work through intuition more likely than any other way. You might look at somebody, but you'll get a sense of, what their ulterior motive is, or their true motive is. But use it and practice it, because you're going to use it for something else in the future. So it's a good one. Here's a dream. I dreamed a bat bit me on the neck. There's no need to wear garlic. This is not about vampires, but it does mean that someone in your environment is directing negative thoughts at you. Some people have the special ability of projecting their mind, so it's someone in that camp. Very persuasive, so you should be able to tell who they are from that. Although you probably know exactly who it is. You could even give us their middle initial. People listen to them because they literally overpower their mind. Anyway, it's likely a sort of a short-lived thing. If not, you could do some aura protection exercises. And in fact, that's something you do, isn't it, Susan?
Yes, that's one of the things I do with people.
There you go. See, brilliant segue there. So here's one. Will I skip? Okay, it's a long one. I'm going to skip it. Glad I didn't give the name, or you'd be going, gosh. Right, this one from Joyce. Interested to know about my dreams. For 1 week, I was having nightmares about experiences in my past. And then a couple of nights ago, I dreamed I could see a small bush covered with mostly beautiful, multicolored butterflies. So this is really good. This is about a positive transformation in your life, resulting from the experiences that you've already had. So this tends to happen when you've already done the work on yourself and moved beyond whatever the issues are. But the butterflies are always a symbol of change. It's a caterpillar, cocoons, changes into a butterfly, and then moves from being on the ground to getting a higher view of everything and a much more freedom, and can move in extra dimensions. So it's always a good thing. What have I got written here? We tend to have nightmares when it is safe to deal with an issue. Okay, yeah, because you say they were nightmares. So it's important to realize nightmares come when it's okay to deal with a problem, and we actually covered that earlier. So it's not saying, hey, you need to be afraid of this. It's saying you're actually now in a situation where you can look at something and you have the support network there. Now, if you're also working in a therapy on yourself at the moment, whether you're going to counselling or whatever it happens to be, that's also can cause you to have those types of dreams. Again, because the time is safe for you to do it. So we have another one from, I like the name. I'm going to skip the first part. She says, Princely something. So we won't give the name. Can anyone interpret the dream about me watching someone looking at their reflection? I guess in a mirror, but I saw them looking at their reflection. So this is about you reflecting on someone else having a child, because a mirror is a reproductive device and is about having children, or you reproducing a copy of you, just like a mirror does. But what's probably happened here is somebody else around you has had a child, and it's just bringing up for you the idea of having one and whether you'd enjoy it or not. But it's a easy enough dream, common enough dream. Here's one that is a little bit stronger from Charlene. She says, I have a recurring dream of a plane crashing. I'm not on the plane, but I witnessed the crash, and it's so close to the ground I can see the faces of the passengers that are about to die. For the first time last night, the plane was flying in a different direction. Same outcome, but I can also see the airline's name on the plane. The faces haunt me for days afterwards. Is there something you can say to help me with this? Yes. The first question I would ask is, did you lose a child? I have seen this many times when you see a dream where a plane is coming in and you're watching the plane coming in, and then it doesn't make it. It can be about a miscarriage, something like that. And once you know what it's about, quite often that'll be enough to stop the nightmares. But dreams of airplanes landing are about our arrival on the planet. So they're very, very common. We got to finish up here. We will see you next week, same time. Wanted to say thanks to our producer and engineer, Eric Ryder. Never say that, but he's there in the background all the time for all the shows, so thanks for that. Thanks to Susan Pullen for co-hosting today.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening. Remember to send your dreams to radioshow@dream-analysis.com. And until next week, we're going to leave you with an inspirational quote, which we were going to do at the start. And it's from Rodolfo Costa. And he says, many people are so poor that the only thing they have is money. I like that.